And now I would like to hand it over to our biggest supporter and play fan, Dean Rich Lyons.
Thank you. Today could be the turning point. You will see, you will hear things that could easily put you on a different arc, a different trajectory in your own careers. Some of the things that will happen today and the things that will get discussed today could put pockets of these industries on a totally different path. We talk a lot about path bending around here. We do our best to deliver into it, and a conference like this is part of that. So my welcome to you. Thanks for being here. This conference will touch on all of the big three. We talk in management education all the time about knowing, doing, and being. Knowing, doing, and being. So you're going to learn a lot. There's no question about that. The knowing part is the traditional part of management education. The doing part is getting your hands into the stuff, right? That's part of what going to an app and doing it mobile and getting a chance to see a lot of these demos, why a lot of these firms are here, why a lot of you are here. I want to do it. I want to put my fingers on it, or I want to experience it. And then there's also a being part. There's a culture part. One of the things we talk about all the time here at Berkeley, and at Berkeley Haas in particular, is, what are the things that define us? What are the cultural elements that are meaning-making for us? And the one that we typically put at the top of the list that's so relevant for today is question the status quo. Question the status quo. If that's not Berkeley, I don't know what is. So anybody who knows anything about Berkeley has some sense for that. We've all worked with people where you just know what's going through that person's mind is there's got to be a better way to do this. That's an exciting person to work with. We've all worked with people where it's not clear that thought, ever comes up. And most of us like to work with the former. Most of you are here because you are the former. It's an important part of the culture of this event. So drink in the culture too. Drink in the being part of Berkeley and an event like this. And the students that we're so proud of that have put this together, they really drove this show, and that's part of why there's so much energy in the room already. Let me conclude simply by saying, you can think anything at Berkeley. It's okay, all right? So part of what we want to do today is we want to give you plenty of room to diverge in your thinking, to go to places that in our transactional workaday lives, right, most of us do have a lot of things we have to do all week long. We don't always get the space to be able to try out really different things. And today's part of that space. Today is a Saturday where we have room to work together. I know there was a hackathon and many other things designed to get us thinking in very, very different ways. Think of it as a wild ideas safe zone. That's what today is about. That's what this conference is about. That's what the wonderful speakers are about. You are not obviously just passive participants. This is very much an active event. So thanks for being part of our active event. Thanks for being part of Berkeley Haas. And thanks again for being here. Okay, welcome.
Thank you very much, Dean Lyons. And now I would like to introduce our first keynote speaker. We are honored to have with us Shiva Rajaraman, who is the Director of Product Development at YouTube. Shiva is focused on creators, developers, and devices, which of course include mobile. And prior to joining YouTube in 2007, he held roles in gaming, analytics, and even a random stint at protein modeling. He holds an MBA from Wharton, and more importantly, he's a Berkeley alum. Sorry. Please join me in welcoming Shiva Rajaraman.
Yeah. Thank you. All right, bear with us. We're trying to do the conference no-no of switching screens mid-flight. See how it goes. All right, cool. Yay. All right. It's get started. So before we start, I like the whole note about divergent thinking. I think a lot of what we're trying to do at YouTube, and particularly with this theme of mobile, is, how do we basically rip down the walls and start from scratch now that we're in a mobile world where increasingly, for the most part, the way YouTube has been growing, right, has been effectively curation through web pages throughout the internet. And now all of a sudden we've got this situation, we've got tablets and phones, and people are on the go with YouTube. And they're bringing it into their living rooms and they're flicking stuff onto TV. For us, it's a completely different world. And while in the past I think it was a right decision to say, hey, let's make sure that YouTube's easy to share throughout the web, it's catching us by surprise now, right? And there's things that we have to react suddenly and really rigorously as we look into the future. And I'm going to walk you through a bunch of stuff. Bear with me. It's going to be a bunch of videos because it is YouTube. And it's early, so I figured I'll wake you up a little bit too. All right, let's start with the history of YouTube.
When we first started, it was just trying to share these clips with one another. We saw the power of simplifying a process and giving everyone a solution.
Hi YouTube, we just want to say thank you. Today we have some exciting news for you. We've been acquired by Google.
Hello?
Charlie, that really hurt.
I'm Clara. I'm 91 years old.
This is the CNN YouTube debate.
Yes, we can.
One of the features of growing old is heightened awareness of change.
Is this real life?
Oh my God, you're walking.
We can't handle this.
Justin Bieber's getting ready to go down.
People who are taking these pictures are literally risking their lives to do what they're doing, and YouTube gives them a venue.
No more. Use your eyes. The world goes and flutters by. Use your eyes. Even though you are. Use your eyes. The world goes and flutters by. Use your eyes.
Your devices on. Yeah.
Electricity wires it down. Rainbow colors fade into brown. A treacherous smile shifting for you.
All right, no more fluffy stuff, but at the end of the day, yep, I'm not too good with the animations, but so one of the things too is that, feel free, particularly as we get through some of the meaty parts of the presentation, jump in with questions, and I'll try to leave 15 minutes at the end too, if it's flowing well. If I look like I'm struggling, jump in, please. Okay, all right. All right. So the first thing about YouTube, and this gets to mobile as well, which is it's all about the audience. And so you often hear a lot of people say, hey, content is king, right? And for us, that's absolutely true, right? The wealth of creators on YouTube is a core part to the ecosystem. Someone comes onto YouTube, we really want to debrand YouTube in many ways, right? We want that creator's brand to shine. We want that channel to be front and center. The flip side, though, is that we know people come to YouTube because, there's millions, hundreds of millions, maybe a billion people out there who are sitting there waiting to find good content. And one of the challenges with YouTube has always been that, well, let me ask you this. How many of you have watched a YouTube video in the last week? Okay. How many of you actually go to the YouTube site every day? Okay. Small minority, right? And this is effectively our biggest challenge at YouTube right now, is how do we move towards becoming people's ritual, right? We're not really a daily destination for most people. For the most part, we're a repository of great content that gets shared through the web. And as we think about the shift to mobile, one of the biggest challenges we have is how do you take that phone, right, It's got like 10 Angry Birds chiclets on it, and make YouTube a fundamental part of that home screen so that you click on it every day, right? That's our biggest challenge as we go into the next 5 years. And in many ways, we think we're most equipped to do that. We've got content, we just have to organize it well. And so I'll talk a little bit about how we're going to do that. Okay, so this is one of the kind of Uber themes around, how we approach content at YouTube. So 1980, right, almost 100% of the audience was concentrated on the 4 major networks in the United States. In some countries, by the way, it's still like this. Slow animation, sorry. Fast forward to 2012, right, this fragmentation has happened, right? And this fragmentation in many ways, whoops. Anything I need to do? It's still projecting. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it should be okay.
Back. There you go.
All right, cool. We might go back and forth a few times during this presentation. So, flashback. So as we look at now, right, this acceleration is happening. And things like DVRs, particularly in the United States, are accelerating this transition a lot. Because you're not just cherry-picking channels that you want to watch, right? You're cherry-picking shows, and you're putting together your own personalized channel. Okay. All right. And then, one of the things that's particularly interesting for us is that how can we look to a world in the future where there's a channel for all of your tastes? And I think the best way to look at this is that, everyone in this room, right, probably has a mix of things. Like, whether you'll admit it or not, you watch a few mainstream shows, right? You probably don't have time to, but the average person watching 5 hours of TV a day does, right? So let's say you're watching Glee or you're watching sports. But then there's a good 100 interests that you might have that, effectively are not served from TV today, right? So for cable satisfied some of those. Cooking channels are really popular. Niche sports are coming online. But there'll never be like a Lego animation channel on TV, right? And there'll never be, a kite surfing channel on TV. And so the way we look at things is how can we package up this world of content and turn it into a channel so you do have thousands of channels you can pick from and you mix and match those. And a good example of that is that I was looking at I actually like Lego animation or stop motion animation quite a bit, especially during election season. And what I would say is that I was looking at this channel that I created, and all this content. We can basically go out there and query and see how much good content is coming up around a topic, right? And there was 10 hours a day uploaded, right? 10 hours a week uploaded just around stop motion animation, right? So when you look at that, that's a great set of content that could turn into a channel where every night I could turn on my TV and basically consume that. And so when we look at YouTube, we think about how can we catalyze all that creation so it comes up on your TV set in a personalized way, and while you're tiring effectively of your mainstream shows, right? You start to switch over and you have great YouTube channels waiting for you. On mobile, we think that's even more essential, because when you're on the go, you're looking for bite-sized things. And those bite-sized things might be in a variety of different tastes. So it's just competition to keep you entertained and hopefully not play Angry Birds as much. Okay. So I'm going to jump ahead a little bit. All right, so this is where we are right now with 800 million. Oh, one more time. You might as well just stay up here. Yeah. You're right. 800 million users, right, and about 4 billion hours watched per month. Just hit the play button right there. Yeah. Yeah, we can try that. talk amongst yourselves, tell some jokes. It's going to be okay. Oh, man. I got to say, I've got several. I'm really interested in all the, the memes that are emerging around Gangnam Style right now, right? Yeah. The original one is okay, but the ones that I'm enjoying most are the ones that like YouTubers and my friends are creating right now. So, okay. So a bunch of people come here every day again. The question is, what's catching us by surprise? And we have hundreds of channels, on YouTube, right? Thousands of channels, in fact. Right? And we have over 2 million partners who are monetizing on YouTube right now, which is also important. So these are people who are starting to quit their day job and build a career on YouTube, building an audience, right? And a good example of that is something like Awesomeness TV, right? Which is basically trying to create, if you will, a network on YouTube associated around servicing, youth that are coming onto the platform, right, and creating great content for them. Crazy web page there, but I'll get to that in a second. And one of our big efforts has been trying to step back, is to catalyze a source of creators out there who can be blueprints for people, right, to start creating their own channels on YouTube. So we started funding a lot of channels out there. And the goal with this funding was effectively to say, hey, there's a lot of different types of, content that are, for the most part, people aren't taking a bet with on YouTube. So a great example of that is something called, Wigs, right? And Wigs Espanol, right? You get a good director out there, John Avnet. You put together effectively a scripted episodic show, a series of them actually, and you actually make a bet also on the Latino market at the same time. That's a kind of content programming that for the most part, you will not have organically happen on YouTube, right? So we fund that to take out the risk with the hope that they'll prove that it works and that'll attract a lot of other people on YouTube to create that content as well. And so as we've done a few of these experiments, right? And I think one of the key stats is that, we've got a significant amount of channels who now have over 100K subscribers, right? People who have expressed some loyal interest in that content and come back ritualistically, right, around these funded channels. And so we're going to keep looking at this, but our goal, again, fast forward, is to have thousands of these, which means that these are just templates for other people to come onto the platform, and we're going to learn what works and what doesn't work from a programming perspective. Okay. So this is an interesting number for us, and it just gets back to the web curates YouTube. Right, every single day, 500 years of video is watched on social networks, right, every day. And for us, that's a wonderful channel, because it's a channel of your friends, right, or your interests, depending on which social networks you're using. The other side of it, though, is that, we have to figure out a way to concentrate that activity, and take advantage of the fact that most of that sharing is now happening on mobile. And for us, that's really tricky. If anyone in the room is technical, right, you understand that sometimes it's hard to understand. Like if you click on a link in Facebook or you click on a link in Twitter and it comes into your mobile app and you're watching that video, the way a lot of these platforms work is that you don't know the source of that link, right? It becomes obfuscated. And so we have all these channels where the web figured out how to instrument itself and share that knowledge and information so you could use it to package things, where all of a sudden you get on the mobile and all of a sudden that's broken, right? And so if you will, it's a great time to be in mobile analytics, right? For those of you thinking about a startup, right? It's like now's the time to say, like, how do we go into mobile, start from scratch, instrument that platform, and get insight out of it? And it's an area I'm particularly fascinated about because it's so broken for us. But that's one of the areas where I think we're going to see the most innovation too when we think about audience creation. Okay, time for a video. Everyone familiar with Red Bull?
All right, okay. The whole road is working on. I'm going over. Jumper away. Speed 725. Showing Felix in a stable descent. And Felix is back to earth safely, the new world record holder.
get to this in a second. Yeah. Okay. So the thing about Red Bull that was exciting for us was, we basically had 8 million concurrent users watching that stream. And it was really interesting. Like, if you saw a plot of how high he got, we started like breaking the internet as he got higher and higher, right? And so, we were a little freaking out. We were all up, it was a weird hour if any of you watched it live. But effectively, you keep hitting these capacity limits, right? And so we were scaling and scaling, and so we were all freaking out. But I think one of the key things around this, which gets back to the social point and the mobile point, is that everyone was tweeting about that event, right? Every single, like, emails were going crazy, you got to go watch this stuff. Texts were going crazy, right? The links, the number of YouTube links that were shared in the 3 hours leading up to his 125,000-foot jump, right, were effectively, just enormous, right? We said it's all this inbound traffic. And so you're looking at all this mobile space for sharing, right? And people effectively, telling their friends, you got to go watch this right now. A lot of which I think were pretty drunk at the time too. We can tell from the comments, right? Not too unusual for YouTube, but at the end of the day, you get this huge balloon of people coming up. And so the question for us is, like, mobile plays a special role in tune-in, right? And I think we can all say this too. Like, mobile's still not that been great for, like, what events or locations or activities, right? Like, location and mobile working in that way with a good timely dimension has not entirely been solved. But when there's a full court press out there and there's a magical moment, actually most people are going to find out about it on their phones moving forward, not in any other desktop means. That's the bet. And we definitely saw that. Okay, here's another one that's a fun one, okay? Bunch of bubbles, right? So each one of these bubbles is effectively a query, okay, on YouTube, a YouTube search. And the bigger the bubble, the more people who are typing in that query at the same time. That's a surprise. Okay. All right, so fast forward in time, Call Me Maybe came out. Another great meme. I hate the song personally, no offense to anyone, but the spoofs are fantastic, okay. All right, so let's watch what happens. Take a little second here. So again, forget about the X and the Y axis. It's too early to explain that right now, but effectively bigger bubbles, more queries. Okay, so we have a fight on YouTube going on. Those tend to bubble up quite a bit. Smosh, major partner out there. Katy Perry, anything Breaking Dawn or Michael Jackson always comes in. Meet the Pyro, pretty cool. Okay. Jenna Marbles, vlogger. Cool, you'll see a few more things come on here. Gets a little quiet. Olympics pops on the scene. Justin Bieber always jumps on the scene. All right, now this moment, August 6th, you see Gangnam Style appear there, right? And so it's crazy, okay? So, right? Yeah. Yeah. All right. So, yeah. Yeah. And that was just insane, by the way. Like, we stopped at September 30th in this video, but as you can imagine, this whole screen was blue for a while, right? And so it caught everyone by surprise, right? And, yeah. About 300 million views in, 2.5 months, right? Also, the fascinating thing around this is that the conversation around the video, right? 150,000 response videos, right? And this is what I'm talking about, right? It's because those response videos, it's satirical, right? Some of them are just, pure homages, right? You had people doing, every meme that ever happened on YouTube happened around this video too, right? You had folks just, doing stuff in train stations, just Gangnam Style. You had Gangnam Style proposals, right? Like anything you can imagine just happened around this video and still going on, right? And it was really interesting too, because you get signed to a record label soon after, right? And there's a great article that came out in Hollywood Reporter, I think, like a couple days ago. And it's just like, everyone warned him, is like, don't sign with a US label. The first thing they'll do is tell you to translate your song into English, right? Which would have been horrible, apparently, okay? So he flies out here, and the first thing they say is like, no, this thing, like YouTube proved that it's big enough, right? Or I should say the web proved that it's big enough, right? That you don't need to translate this thing, right? And right now it's number 2, I think, on the Billboard charts, right? And probably going to get hit number 1. So a great example of like these global memes blowing up, driven entirely by mobile, which I'll get to in a second. Okay? Now, this is our poster child nowadays, right? Which is because right now we have 1 billion views a day on mobile. This just happened recently, right? And again, why this is our poster child is because mobile, by definition, is, you know, a less sophisticated form factor. You'd be able to push and play, right? And let's think about what YouTube's like normally on the desktop. You come in, you find a link, you stick around for a couple of videos, you hunt for those videos. You're always hunting. You're making a decision every 2 minutes, right? People don't like to make a decision every 2 minutes on a mobile platform, right? You're going to click on one of those chiclets and kind of be there for a while, scanning through things, having a good feed of healthy content. If that becomes tiresome, you vacate, right? And so for us at YouTube, this whole channels thing is about packaging so we work in those environments, right? The web's too easy for us, right? And everyone at YouTube could go home for the most part, except the folks keeping the site alive during Red Bull or Gangnam Style, but it'll just keep growing because more and more people are sharing links. But to really turn this into a ritual, we need to make these mobile environments work. It's a really big challenge for us. Okay, so, weird animation there. This is what happens when you do a presentation at midnight the night before, but don't do that. Number one piece of advice. No, it's okay. Yeah. Oh, it went away? Oh, sorry, yeah. Two things went wrong at the same time, yeah. So we look at these leading indicator countries, and one of those countries is Korea. Okay, Korea is very important because 3G penetration, mobile usage, and internet usage are incredibly high. Cool. That said greater than 50% before it flew away. But one of the things we noticed in Korea at the beginning of the year is that YouTube traffic went over 50% on a mobile device. This means in the country of Korea, right, more people are watching YouTube. This is video, by the way, right? Video through a mobile phone, right, or tablet than they are on the desktop, right? And I mean, this is pretty shocking because there's so many reasons you can't watch video on a phone, right? Data caps, connectivity. It's a high bandwidth event, right? You'd expect Twitter, Facebook, Google+, et cetera, to be mobile dominant. But for YouTube to be mobile dominant was pretty amazing to see. And now we're seeing this happen across the board. So right now, 1 out of 4 views on YouTube is on a mobile device, right? Which is pretty incredible. Okay. So for us, that means a world, right, where effectively, you know, pages and the idea of a website is behind us. And we're moving towards a world where we have to think like this with every feature that comes on YouTube. We launched our Apple app recently, right? We've got tablets out there, and we've got TVs that we're really excited about, right? And so one of the key things here, though, right, is that when you take something like this, and I'm not going to play this video now. Have anyone heard of H+ digital series? A few people? Cool. Okay. So it's an original production that's out there. It's scripted, it's episodic, but it's also in these bite-sized chunks of about 5 to 6 minutes, and it works really well on a mobile device. But one of the issues... All right, I'll play the trailer. Hold on.
When you single-handedly change the way people access the internet.
I can use H+ to communicate with other people. Can they know what I'm thinking?
It's amazing.
But there's a giant invisible hand that's gripping all of this very tightly.
Pretty dramatic. Okay, so let's... all right. So I'm going to jump ahead a little bit. Hold on. All right. So I show this a lot. No one understands why I show it, so I'm trying to make it work this time. One of the things, though, is that we've had this really fragmented experience with our content partners. So we're talking about all these new stages you need to build on. But you sit there and you upload a video on YouTube, and you lay out your channel on YouTube. And then you go look on the mobile phone, and you look on the tablet, and you look on the TV, and it looks completely different, right? And sometimes you're missing the engagement options on it. So a big challenge for us at YouTube, when we think about mobile first, is that we need to design for all those screens first, rather than start on the desktop and then later get them onto all these devices. That's a huge shift for us, right? That means all the feature teams at YouTube, every time they create a mock, right, and create a UI design, They need to think about all these different platforms. And that's the major shift that we need to make, right? And so that's a big shift, right? If you think about it, you always hear about all these internet companies, right? And they have a mobile team, and that mobile team is like 5 people, right, who show up at, noon, and they hack all through, and they just have full control over their destiny, and they have fun. We need to shift that culture to everyone in the company effectively learn on Android and iOS, right? And did I just lose my hearing, or is that? No, yeah, okay. It's going to happen one day, so I'm just waiting. So why this slide? This slide happens because, a lot of people come to us and say, like, learning how to build, an audience on YouTube is like teaching a cat to tightrope, right? And we definitely have that challenge now, and that's going to be a major shift we need to make as a company. Okay, so a good example of this is, this is a fairly straightforward channel, right? You've got some branding behind it, right? You've got a little banner at the top and that type of thing, right? And then we have Awesomeness TV again, and look at everything that they're doing around this, right? They've got promotions, they've got their programming schedule at the top right. They have a lot of different elements here. Trying to move this into a mobile phone is no easy challenge, right? It's an arms race for pixels. And it's a really tough thing for people because they're sitting there saying, hey, I used to do all this stuff in my page, right? And where's that going to go? Is it going to go everyone's in full screen mode in a mobile or a tablet environment. So how can this happen? So we have to start to make a lot of fundamental moves, like how do we take this branding and how do we take all these programming options and move them into these form factors. And given we taught everyone that they can do this, it's a big shift for them and something that requires education, instrumentation, as well as just a lot of creativity, which we're trying to spend more time on now. Okay. All right. Next thing is no kids in the room, hopefully, but I think the next thing is that what does mobile do relative to the living room? So we launched our YouTube on PS3 app recently, and people are like excited about the new design and that type of stuff, but the thing that really took off was the ability to take your mobile device and pair it with the big screen. And if you think about it, again, YouTube, you're searching for videos and all that type of stuff. Has anyone used like an on-screen keyboard on a TV? Right? It's the most nightmarish experience you'll ever go through, right? No one's made it good. But you pair your mobile phone, and all of a sudden, you can just type things easily, right? And you can do searches, and you can find things really easily. And so, for the most part, what we feel is like the future of the living room is very much going to be about how do the mobile screens control that experience. And it's not just YouTube, right? You see it with Xfinity if you have cable, their tablet app, like, how many TV guides have we seen that never got anywhere, right? They're always hard to use, right? Maybe TiVo accepted, but even then it's challenging. And so now you've got a situation where for the most part, it just makes sense to your mobile phone to do that. And so we're really excited about how these two worlds come together. And this is going to be a big bet for us as we move forward, which is anytime there's a big screen in your room, how can you interact with it with a small screen? And it's nice because we see, understandably, you remove the friction, you get longer viewing time, 20% greater. And this is still a small population of early adopters, so we just have to make it easier. Okay, next thing is advertising. So I think one of the hot topics of the last 2 months has been, can you monetize mobile? Right? And for us, one of the ways we've always looked at it is that if you pick something that's a native ad format, and that format is the same as your content, it works really well. It's a nice synergy that you get there, because what happens is that you've got to make video watching work on a mobile phone, right? Or you're not going to survive. You've got to make video work on a tablet and TV, right? Or you're not going to survive, right? And in some cases, that's just going back to where video was born. So as your ad formats are also about video, then that works really well, right? And the real question then comes up is that, hey, are those ads going to distract effectively from consumption on those devices where people are bandwidth constrained, where they may be on the go and have limited time, right? And so for us, the answer to that has always been, well, let's make all our ads good, right? And so what we really want is an advertiser to think more as though they are a creator, right? Create good content. And our ad formats now, which is basically a true view model, which is basically you can skip the ad if you don't like it. rewards, and the advertiser only pays if someone actually watches it. So, you know, a good 80% of our in-stream ads are now skippable on YouTube.
So please watch it, it makes me money.
Yeah. Yeah. Advertisers are making good stuff. We'll get to that in a second. It does make this man want money. Everyone go watch an ad right now. So, yeah. But the thing is that one of the key things for us is that if that works on desktop, it's going to work across all devices, right? You can watch a video. It has to compete for your attention. And if it competes for your attention and wins, great. Everyone gets paid and everyone's happy. So we tell all our advertisers right now to create content, not commercials. And we're seeing this world really blur. Does anyone see Dollar Shave Club? How many hands? Okay. What about Chuck Testa, Ojai Valley Taxidermy? Not so many. That'll be a better one to play then. All right, cool. Sorry, Dollar Shave Club.
You probably thought this deer was alive, and this coyote was alive, and this pheasant was alive. Nope, they're not. They're dead. They've been taxidermized by Chuck Testa. Ojai Valley Taxidermy. I specialize in the most lifelike dead animals anywhere. Period.
Look at that antelope driving a car.
No, it's just Chuck Testa.
Oh no, there's a bear in my bed.
Nope, Chuck Testa.
Hold on a second. There's a leopard feeding on an impala out on my deck.
Nope, just Chuck Testa with another realistic mount. Shipped to me from anywhere. Call Chuck Testa for the most lifelike dead animal.
All right, you get the point. So if that was a real ad, you know, which one of these is real? So I think the interesting thing is that the one on the left, it's an ad. At that point in time, 4.7 million views on it, right? Incredible amount of likes, shared throughout the internet, right? This one, completely fake, obviously, right? But, you know, we've had a long history in entertainment around faking commercials and that type of thing. What's really interesting is more ads on YouTube now look like that than, you know, a traditional 30-second spot. And there's another one that's like a Hot Wheels ad, right? And they basically, it goes on for like 2.5 minutes. And over those 2.5 minutes, right, they recreated a Hot Wheels course, one of those ramps, right? Hot Wheels are little cars, for users, those not familiar with it, but you come down this big ramp, you take off, right? And you basically go 300 feet and land on another ramp, right? But they do that with real people and real cars. So low skip rates, right? It's an ad for Hot Wheels, but it's 2.5 minutes long and people stick and watch the whole thing, right? Just to see the finale. So as we shift advertising to be more like content, we're also confident that that advertising will work on places like mobile, right? Because effectively it's just entertainment and that's what you're looking for. All right. I think I went a little over, but would love to take some questions. All right, go for it.
As one of YouTube's first partners, well, we talked about this before we started, but I get the impression that you're favoring any new partner because we got a partner meeting 3 years ago, there were 16,000 partners, that was 2 million. That's enormous. And I feel like YouTube is favoring money partners like Warner Brothers, Austin's TV got 3.5 million with Greystone Pictures. But you guys like you who help you grow and are making money from this, I feel like you're pushing them aside and not telling people that YouTube is for you too. You know, I think that's lost.
All right. So did everyone hear that question? It's basically, let me try to summarize it, which is, do we have mics too? Might be good. Yeah, okay. The question was basically around, are we effectively bringing in new partners and ignoring the roots of YouTube, which are folks who engage with their audience, built a very loyal subscriber base. But as we shift over to this model where we're funding some channels, right, we're bringing in some known directors and celebrities, right, is that abandoning our roots, right? And the short answer is no. Oh, go ahead, yeah.
Giving the message to people who want to be on YouTube to make money, to earn it of what they see, that you can't do it. You have to be monetized like these guys, which wasn't the original message of YouTube.
Right. So, and the more nuanced aspect of that was effectively saying, hey, these other folks coming on are basically getting funded by YouTube, right? And so what about homegrown, building a business from scratch, right? Or VC, that's right. Yeah, right, no, absolutely. So our feeling is this, is that what we're trying to do with these funded channels and these new business models is to catalyze content creation that otherwise wouldn't come onto YouTube, right? And some of this, by the way, is like something we hope that happens much more widely, right? Like I actually do have a slide on this, I didn't show it today, which is basically showing all the VC interest that's basically pouring into funding content again, right? Which if you go back a few years just stopped happening, right? Now all of a sudden we have this explosion of different networks, right? Original programming creators who are actually getting funded, right? So, but going back to the original question, the real goal with YouTube is to say we have to catalyze some of these varieties of content to help build an audience, right? Particularly amongst an audience, right? Who has just been link sharing, right? And we need to get their interests captured, right? So they can start to use YouTube as a destination and realize that YouTube as a destination is not just the occasional funny video, right? It could be a scripted drama, right? Most of it probably won't be scripted dramas. It's a lot of them are working, but a lot is going to be a huge spectrum, if you will, right? So from our perspective, we felt that you have to move risk to encourage innovation. That's effectively what VCs do. Here's some money, right? You're going to have a guaranteed stream of income over the next year. Now you should prove that you can turn that into a multiple, right? So from YouTube's perspective, we got into that world a little bit too, so that we could remove that risk and frankly do it in a way that we hope VCs would jump on, which they did, right? We hope more and more people will fund it, right? And effectively, that creates a better ecosystem for everyone.
So finance might.
No comment. Yeah. Yeah.
Hello.
Yeah.
You spoke a bit about the difficulty of discovery via mobile in contrast to discovery online.
Yeah.
Can you just go deeper into how you guys are optimizing mobile discovery?
So the question, everyone heard it? Everyone heard it? Yeah, okay, yeah. It's early in the morning. So the discovery on mobile for us is effectively saying, hey, can we use mobile as a signal, right? So we know this user is making a search on mobile. How much of that is a signal effectively to say, hey, we need to serve something up special? Right, a good example of that would be that if you're on mobile and this might be the case, might not be the case, but you're looking for a video that's 30 minutes long on YouTube, right? And all you get is this list of 30-minute long results. Maybe that's a wrong answer for that query, right? It might be that you type in that query, right, and shorter stuff comes up, right? Now, this is all hypothetical, but I think one of the key things is just to say, if mobile is a signal, when does it matter, right, to our discovery algorithms to change what we present? If you're searching for Gangnam Style on a desktop, tablet, or your phone, the results are probably going to look the same, right, because you're looking for that video. But in other cases, maybe you're looking for more snack-sized stuff, right? The argument would be like if you're searching on TV, you're looking for more HD stuff, maybe longer form stuff. So that's how we want to do is approach this in some ways is just say, is mobile a signal in our systems? The other thing on that front is just making it easier to navigate, right? So if you click on something in mobile versus the web, how do you get to that next up video is an important challenge for us. We don't want you to have to browse through 3 lists of videos to find that next one. Can we be better at saying, here's the next one up? And to be honest, that's a theme across all our platforms, but we expect it to be accentuated in the mobile environment.
Hi, I think this kind of follows on what you were saying. You didn't talk much about the recommendation engine that you have on the back end, and it seems like mobile with the whole lean back thing would be a thing that comes more to the fore, saying just show me, you know what I like, show it to me now, kind of thing.
Yeah, that's right. I think one thing we did earlier this year was we switched all our discovery engines and recommendation engines to operate on watch time instead of clicks, right? And this is a big shift, right? Because it reinforces the idea that I clicked on a video, it's a good video, captures attention, and those videos essentially keep someone's attention, right? So that's part of this, right? And it's not just about the single video, it's the videos that come after it too, right? So if you're a good curator, right, and that curation options show up after the video plays, then we should be rewarding that original video because it's actually a longer session. So this is a big shift for us. We're still early, we're learning, we're tweaking it, we're training that model. But effectively the idea is, say, let's optimize for watch time so you don't have to make as many choices.
I have a question about monetization on a lot of the videos on YouTube. I'm assuming you guys have never charged for a video, right? Is that true?
We have rentals.
Okay.
Yeah.
But people like Louis C.K., Aziz Ansari, even Jon Stewart, I think they've proven that you don't need a huge distribution channel to show like content that's live. Is that something that YouTube is planning on doing? Because, for example, the next wave of TV, right? You're not going to really watch it or browse. It'll be kind of curated for you personally. Sure. And I'm sure a lot of people would pay, X amount of dollars per month to do that. Is there a reason YouTube would or would not go that route?
So the way we look at ourselves is that we're about video, right? And so any business model that goes around video is something that we'll test and explore, right? And so whether that's transactional models, which we started with, or gets into kind of subscriptions and different types of things like that, we want to try a variety of different things. So the short answer is that there's nothing off the table, right? At the same time, like it's not necessarily saying about, oh, we should become Netflix overnight, right? And so we want to test some things that make sense for the audience that's on YouTube and the types of content packaging that exist.
Hi, I'm Rosa Welton. I'm in product at eBay. I wonder what your thoughts are on the role of trust as more advertising becomes like content and vice versa.
Yeah, that's a really good question. I work really closely with our policy teams at YouTube too. And one of the key things about YouTube, just in its DNA, is always authenticity, right? Like, it's good, think a lot of the times that people watch a YouTube video versus go to any other site is that they expect that they can actually engage with the person who created it, right? If you write a comment, they might comment back, right? They're referring to the fact that, hey, YouTubers, come watch this thing. They are acknowledging what platform they're on in many ways, right? And so for us, part of this is that spirit of authenticity is really about saying, hey, I can trust this person because it is their voice, right? And they're coming back with a clear message to me. On the other side, there are obviously folks who would like to use YouTube to spam others, right? And so from our perspective, we're trying to create a really good abuse system that says, hey, if something gets out of control, right, you can always flag this content, right? Flagging has been there from YouTube's roots. And the flip side is that a lot about trust, right, and authenticity is the surrounding context of that video. Who shared it with you? What information is on that watch page? Do they respond to you? So one of the key things we try to teach people is say, make sure you have that engagement, because that engagement doesn't just generate earned views for you, but it's also that people feel like they can trust you.
Hello.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah. So over the 3-4 years, we've seen the emergence of YouTube networks. There's Machinima, there's Maker Studios, Big Frame. What do you think the future is for those YouTube networks now that they're hitting billions of views per month?
Sure. Basically, we hope the future is really bright for them, right? And we hope that they differentiate based on adding real value, right? So think about what a network can do for a particular content creator, right? One, assuming the network is transparent, right, lets that individual content creator, assert their own destiny, right, and just you have a good relationship from that perspective. Assuming all of that, then what you get out of it is that they remove risk, they co-promote you, they cross-promote you rather, or they help you build an audience easier. And hopefully they give you access to production or education or training that helps you be more effective, right? So we'd love to see hundreds of these networks out there, right? And some of those networks are about content creation, right? And monetizing that content. Some of them are about rights clearance, right? And we think there's other business models that will come on the line. It's early. There's a few of those networks out there, and they're all figuring out different models, right? They're kind of in like this 1.0 phase, right? And we expect them to evolve. There'll be a 2.0, legion of them, right? And a 3.0, and they'll start looking at different ways that they add value and competing on those dimensions. But generally speaking, if they can generate insight, remove the risk, and amplify creation without eroding the value that goes back to original creators, we think they can be very successful, and we're behind them.
Yeah, I have a question.
Okay. Okay. One more question. Yeah, go.
Yeah. As you said, people are going to interact with their TV from their mobile devices. So when users are interacting with big screens from mobile devices, where do you think they should be watching at? They should be watching at their mobile phones or the big screens?
So one thing that happens a lot is that there's like this simultaneous thing going on, right? You're watching TV and you're using your mobile phone to do something completely different, right? Or your laptop for that matter, email, etc., right? And what we think is that there's always these opportunities where you're on this screen using YouTube, right, and checking something because something's on TV that you're not really paying attention to, and someone shared with you a link and you go ahead and watch it. And all of a sudden it's like, well, why not just flick that over to the big screen, right? And maybe the big screen pauses whatever you're watching, that video plays, right, and you go back to it, right? But I think one of the questions is, it is about video, and if you can watch it on a screen like this, and it's communal in nature, like you're not watching something privately, but it's like, your friends are with you, why not show it on the big screen, right? That's where video belongs at the end of the day. So for us, we're starting with thinking about the small device for discovery and aiding getting it on the big screen versus necessarily companion content to what's on the big screen right now. That's something we'll explore as well too, but our main focus is saying, I can find it easier here, I'm getting it here anyways, how do I project it?
Thank you.
All right, thank you everybody. Okay.